Hello listeners. Mr. Bookman here. Before we get to today's story, subscribe to the channel and click the like button. You can now follow me on Facebook. The link is in the description. When you read as much as I do, you don't get a lot of time to work out. It is not a problem for me though. I found the best diet pill on the market. It dissolves heavy fat quickly. In fact, you're guaranteed to lose 1 pound per day. If you're looking to drop a few pounds without all the work, click the link in the description. Now, let's dive right into the book.
Coffee Break Collection 16, Crime. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Excerpt from Causes and Cures of Crime by Thomas Speed Mosby, published in 1913. Chapter 5. Asexualization. Nearly 40 years ago, Dr. Gideon Lincensum appeared before the legislature of the state of Texas and advocated the asexualization of criminals as a substitute for capital punishment. His suggestion was at first received with ridicule. It has been taken more seriously with the passing of years. The modern eugenists, however, no longer advocate castration. They now recommend the operation known as vasectomy in males and oophorectomy in females, a surgical operation first performed in this country about 14 years ago, October 1899. Vasectomy, which is sometimes called Rentul's operation, consists in the removal of a small part of each sperm duct. In the female, the operation is performed by removing a small portion of each fallopian tube. The operation is said by competent surgical authorities to be a very simple one, almost painless, and does not disqualify the patient from work for a single day. It does not destroy the means of sexual gratification, but it does effectively prevent procreation. Medical opinion is not yet unanimous as to the wisdom of this operation. Some who favor sterilization are disposed to regard castration as the more desirable method, especially in the worst class of criminals, for the reason that the sexual powers and passions still remaining after vasectomy would result in a still wider dissemination of venereal diseases. The person so sterilized would, in this sense, be more dangerous than before. His sexual passions would not be curbed, and his known condition of sterility would afford him opportunity for illicit commerce, which he would in some instances not otherwise have possessed, for, as is well known, the fear of possible fecundation in some cases is all that withholds the female consent. In these circumstances, the spread of venereal disease is certainly to be expected. As is well known, syphilis is itself a fruitful source of degeneracy. It is a more widespread and terrible scourge than tuberculosis. Warbasse declares that at least 1/4 of our public institutions for caring for defectives is made necessary by venereal disease. But whatever the trend of scientific opinion, the trend of legislative opinion is all in the direction of vasectomy. In a report of Branch Committee D, read at the 4th Annual Meeting of the American Institute of Criminal Law and Criminology, the laws of the various American states which have enacted legislation upon this matter are summarized as follows. Indiana provides, as a board of examiners who shall decide upon whom to operate, 2 expert physicians and superintendents, and boards of managers of institutions where such persons are confined. The operation may be applied to confined criminals, idiots, imbeciles, and rapists. Several hundred operations have been done in this state. Iowa provides, as a board of examiners who shall decide upon whom to operate, the managing officer of the state institution where such persons are confined, the members of the State Board of Parole, and the surgical consultant of such institution. The operation may be applied to habitual criminals, idiots, feeble-minded, imbeciles, drunkards, drug fiends, epileptics, and syphilitics. The operation applies to both men and women. New Jersey provides that the governor shall, with the advice of the Senate, appoint a surgeon and a neurologist, each of recognized ability, for a 5-year period, who, with the Commission of Charities and the superintendent of the institution, shall constitute a board of examiners, which shall decide upon whom to operate. The operation may be applied to confirmed criminals, feeble-minded, epileptics, and other defectives. Only those who cannot recover and where procreation is not advisable may be operated upon, and only after 5 days' notice by the board to the Court of Common Pleas in the county. It is lawful for any competent surgeon to operate. California provides that the superintendent of a state hospital for insane, the superintendent of a home for feeble-minded, or the resident physician of the state prison, when in their opinion it would be beneficial and conducive to the benefit of the physical, mental, or moral condition of any inmate of said hospitals, home, or state prison to be asexualized, shall call the general superintendent of state hospitals and the secretary of the State Board of Health, and if 2 of the 3 examiners favor the operation, it may be performed on inmate, patient, or convict. Washington provides that whenever any person shall be adjudged guilty of carnal abuse of a female person under the age of 10 years, or of rape, or shall be adjudged to be an habitual criminal, the court may, in addition to such other punishment or confinement as may be imposed, direct an operation to be performed on such person for the prevention of procreation. Connecticut provides that the directors of the state prison and the superintendent of the state hospitals for the insane are directed to appoint for each of said institutions respectively 2 skilled surgeons who, in conjunction with the physicians or surgeons in charge at each of said institutions, shall constitute the board of examiners. The majority of the board rules. The law may be applied to both men and women who would be liable to produce children with an inherent tendency to crime, insanity, feeble-mindedness, idiocy, or imbecility. New York provides that the governor shall appoint for a term of 5 years 1 surgeon, 1 neurologist, and 1 practitioner of medicine, each of 10 years' experience, who shall constitute the Board of Examiners. The law applies to feeble-minded, epileptics, criminals, and other defective inmates confined in the several state institutions. Counsel must be appointed for the persons to be operated upon, and no operation must be performed until 5 days after the order of the board has been filed with the clerk of the court, and a copy served upon the counsel appointed to represent the person examined. All orders made by the board are subject to review by the Supreme Court. A complete record must be kept by the institution where the inmate is confined. Utah has also passed a law similar to those cited. In most of these laws, provision is made for severe penalties for those who perform the required operation for improper purposes. Governor Sheldon of Nebraska, in his message to the legislature in 1909, recommended the careful consideration of the necessity for passing a law to prevent the marriage of persons unfit to propagate, and also a law for the sterilization of defectives. In Illinois, Pennsylvania, Oregon, Texas, Wisconsin, and Oklahoma, bills have been introduced for preventing increase in defectives, but have failed of enactment. The committee recommended the following, which was offered to the legislature of Wisconsin as a model statute upon the subject. Quote, "The State Board of Control is hereby authorized to appoint from time to time one surgeon and one alienist of recognized ability, whose duty it shall be, in conjunction with the superintendents of the state and county institutions who have charge of criminal, insane, feeble-minded, and epileptic persons, to examine into the mental and physical condition of such persons legally confined in such institutions. Said Board of Control shall at such times as it deems advisable submit to such experts and the superintendent of any said institutions the names of any inmates whose mental and physical condition they desire examined, and said experts and the superintendent of said institution shall meet, take evidence, and examine into the mental and physical condition of such inmates, and report said mental and physical condition to the said State Board of Control. If such experts and superintendents unanimously find that procreation is inadvisable, it shall be lawful to perform such operation for the prevention of procreation as shall be decided safest and most effective, provided, however, that the operation shall not be performed except in such cases as are authorized by the said Board of Control. Before such operation shall be performed, it shall be the duty of the State Board of Control to give at least 30 days' notice in writing to the husband or wife, parent or guardian, if the same shall be known, and if unknown, to the person with whom such inmate last resided. The record taken upon the examination of every such inmate shall be preserved and shall be filed in the office of said Board of Control at Madison, Wisconsin, and semi-annually after the performing of the operation. The superintendent of the institution wherein such inmate is legally confined shall report to said Board of Control the condition of such inmate and the effect of such operation upon such inmate. The State Board of Control shall report biannually in its regular biennial report the number of operations performed under the authority of this Act and the result of such operations." End of excerpt from Causes and Cures of Crime by Thomas Speed Mosby, published in 1913.
Well, listeners, it looks like we have come to the end of the story. On your way out, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you click on the link in the description if you want to lose weight the easy way. 1 pound per day. Just know you're appreciated. Mr. Bookman is now signing off.